Hello, this is Dr. Rina Ranhire. I'll be discussing on eukaryotes today. So, what are eukaryotes? Eukaryotes are cells commonly identified by the presence of a nucleus, a well-defined nucleus. Eukaryota is one of the three domains of life that encompasses single-cell organisms as well as multicellular life. Eukaryotes contain a variety of structures that distinguish them from prokaryotes like archaea and bacteria, most notably the nucleus and different organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, peroxisomes, mitochondria, chloroplast, etc. Eukaryotes also often organize their DNA around histones. Histones are the proteins that act like a spool and package it into the chromosome. Some eukaryotes also participate in some form of sexual reproduction, though many retain the ability to reproduce asexually. So, if we can trace the phylogenetic tree of life, we can locate the position of eukaryote. These are the three important domains of life, namely bacteria, archaea, and eukaryotes. Here we can locate the position of animal, fungi, plants, the bacteria, the protozoa, and the slime molds. The characteristics of eukaryotes are the presence of true membrane-bound nucleus, then DNA complexed with histone, the number of chromosomes remain present, maybe more than one, and mitosis and meiosis both are present, genetic recombination through crossing over during meiosis, sterols remain present in the plasma membrane, ribosome 80S in cytosol and 70S in organelles, and unit membrane-bound organelles remain present. And cell wall is made up of cellulose in plant, chitin in fungi, but it is absent in animal cells. So regarding algae, the first member of eukaryote. Algae are the chlorophyll-bearing thalloid organisms. The term algae is used for both prokaryotic and eukaryotic photosynthetic thalloid organisms. Eukaryotic algae are part of plantae and photosynthetic protist. Algae belongs to plantae and is described as non-vascular, that is, there is no xylem and phloem, non-embryophytic, that is, no embryo is developed, and thalloid, that is plate-like body not differentiated into root, stem, and leaf. And there are three main groups of algae: green algae, red algae, and brown algae. And this categorization is based on the pigment they are containing. So we can see here different types of algae like green, red, and brown algae. First, we are coming to green algae or chlorophyceae. The habitat is mostly freshwater, some are marine and terrestrial. Photosynthetic pigments are chlorophyll A, B, and carotenoids. Cell wall component is mainly cellulose. Stored food is starch, which is remain present in the plastid. Flagella is mostly present with the two flagella per cell. They reproduce usually vegetatively by fragmentation, and it is their sexual reproduction. And sexual reproduction, they shows considerable variation in the type and formation of gametes, and it may be isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous. Common examples are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Pyrogyra, Cara, alba, etc. Now, the red algae or rhodophyceae. Their habitat is mostly marine, some are freshwater dwelling. Photosynthetic pigments are chlorophyll A and D, carotenoids, phycobilins, commonly called red algae because they contain red pigment, that is phycoerythrin. It's a type of phycobilin. The cell wall component is mainly cellulose. Stored food is a Floridian starch, which is stored in cytosol. Flagella absent. Asexual reproduction occurs by fragmentation or by formation of non-motile mitospores. Sexual reproduction through oogamous type of gametes, which are non-motile. The simplest type of sexual life in red algae involves an alternation of generation between two separate multicellular forms of the same species, that is a haploid gamete-producing gametophyte and a diploid spore-producing sporophyte. The common examples are Polyspheona, Porphyra, Gelidium, etc. Brown algae or Phaeophyceae, the habitat is mostly marine, rarely freshwater. Photosynthetic pigments present are the chlorophyll A, C, and carotenoids. They vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment, fucoxanthin, present. Cell wall components, cellulose and alginic acid. Cellulosic wall usually covered from outside by a gelatinous coating of algine. Stored food is mainly laminarin and mannitol. Flagella, two in number, unequal and laterally placed. Asexual reproduction, that is vegetatively by fragmentation or by formation of motile biflagellate zoospore, and are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. Sexual reproduction, it may be isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. For most brown algae, the life cycles involve sporic meiosis. And the example are the Ectocarpus, Sargassum, Fucus, etc. So now we are coming to fungi. Fungi are the heterotrophic spore-bearing eukaryotes. So there may be unicellular or multicellular. Multicellular fungi are composed of network of long filaments branch structure called hyphae. Here we can see those hyphae. And the hyphae often aggregate in a dense network known as mycelium. In certain stages, often during transition to the sexual or asexual reproduction phase, the mycelium forms tissue-like aggregates called plectenchyma. Fungi lack true organs. The mycelia of Ascomycetes and Basidiomycetes may become organized into more complex reproductive structure called fruiting bodies or sporocarps. So here we can see the macroscopic and microscopic fungi. So regarding the features of fungi, their mode of nutrition is heterotrophy. That means they cannot photosynthesize. Their chloroplasts are absent. Cell wall constituent is mainly chitin and glucans. Sterols are ergosterol type. Food storage is glycogen instead of starch. Alternation generation from gametophyte to sporophyte is present. So we can classify fungi into 5 distinct classes. The major divisions of fungi are mainly based on their sexual spores and asexual reproductive structures. First of all, we are coming to Chytridiomycota, commonly known as chytrides. These fungi produces zoospores that are capable of moving on their own through a liquid medium by simple flagella. Common example is Alomyces. Now, Zygomycota, this commonly called zygomycetes, and reproduce sexually with meiospores called zygospores and asexually with sporangiospores. The common example, the Rhizopus, mucor, etc. Ascomycota, commonly known as sac fungi or Ascomycetes, form meiotic spores called ascospores within a special sac-like structure called an ascus. Most ascomycetes bear their sexual stages in fruiting bodies called ascocarp. Common examples are Aspergillus, Saccharomyces, that is common yeast. Basidiomycota, commonly known as club fungi or Basidiomycetes, produce meiospores called basidiospores on club-like structure called basidia. Example, Vaccinia graminis, Vaccinia. Deuteromycetes, commonly known as fungi imperfecti or imperfect fungi because they do not have any sexual stage. Resemble Ascomycetes or Basidiomycetes but reproduce neither through ascus or through basidia. The common example is penicillium. So here we can see the structures of different groups of fungi. This is the lactophenol cotton blue stained mucor. So here we can see the hyphae. Now, if we can compare the characteristic features of different group of fungi, we can see all the main difference lies in their habitat, their ploidy, motile stage, sexual spore, asexual spore, and pathogenetic relationship. Here we can find the mainly this mycota. They are either aquatic or terrestrial, but rest of them are all terrestrial. Regarding ploidy, this group is only diploid, others are mainly monoploid. Motile stage present only in this group because they remain in water body also. Sexual spores not confirmed here. Asexual spore, that is a holocarpic, only in this group. And pathogenetic relationship, it is obligate parasite, whereas others are facultatively parasite or may not be obligate parasite. Now we are coming to slime molds. So these are the slime molds which are grown on some substrate on the food material. So these are the heterotrophic proteins, that means they do not photosynthesize, which exhibit characteristics both of fungi and protozoa. They resemble fungi in production of spores and resemble protozoa for movement, ingestion, and digestion of particular food. Slime molds are divided into two main groups, plasmodial slime mold and cellular slime mold. Plasmodial slime molds, they are basically a large non-cell walled multinucleated single cell structure called plasmodium. It is not multicellular, it is a single mass of cytoplasm and contains many diploid nuclei. In unfavorable conditions, plasmodium develops fruiting bodies. When fruiting body matures, they form meiospores by meiotic division, and the spores germinate in the presence of adequate moisture to release either haploid non-flagellated amoeboid mixamoebas or haploid flagellated swarm cells. Mixamoebas and swarm cells act as the gametes and they fuse to form a diploid zygote. The zygote feeds, grows, and multiplies its nuclei through mitotic division to form the multinucleate plasmodium. The cellular slime molds exist in two forms. When nutrient is abundant, they exist as solitary, free-living amoeba-like cells. When nutrient is inadequate, single-celled uninucleated haploid organisms aggregate. That is, it is called the pseudoplasmodium or slug and move as a single body. Slug forms fruiting bodies containing spores. When released, each spore germinates and a single haploid amoeboid cell emerges. So here we can see the plasmodium slime molds, and this is a cellular slime mold. Now we are coming to protozoa. So protozoa comes from the Latin word the first animal. Pro means the first. Unicellular heterotrophs, mostly free living, obtain nutrition by ingesting other organisms or dead organic materials. Many species of protozoans infect humans and inhabit the body as commensals or parasites. Some species cause human diseases which are widespread, especially in the warmer climates in the tropical region. Some require intermediate hosts such as mosquitoes for transmission. So the main features of protozoa are unicellular organisms, aquatic, free-living or parasitic. Nutrition is heterotrophic. Locomotion with the help of pseudopodia, cilia or flagella. Both sexual and asexual reproduction occur among the protozoa. So here we can see the movement of a protozoa, and here we can see the phagocytic engulfment of the protozoa, that is a feeding of a protozoa. So there are few groups of protozoans. These are the amoeboid protozoans, flagellated protozoans, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoan. Amoeboid protozoan, they live in freshwater, seawater, or moist soil, move and capture prey by pseudopodia as in amoeba. Marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Some of them, such as entamoeba, are parasitic. Flagellated protozoans, either free-living or parasitic, and have flagella. Parasitic form cause diseases such as sleeping sickness like trypanosoma. Ciliated protozoans are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia and have a cavity or gullet that opens to the outside of the cell surface. Coordinated movement of rows of cilia causes the water laden with food to be steered into the gullet. That is, example is paramecium. Sporozoans have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle, that is plasmodium, which is causing malaria. So here we can see the amoeba. This is a paramecium. This is trypanosoma, and this is giardia. So this is all about our discussion on eukaryote. So